All right. I'm going to share my screen. All right. So welcome to the Copy Clinic with me, Kelly Harris. We'll go through all of our introductory slides. So I'm not just another copywriter. My job is not necessarily just to help you convert copy. My job is to be a storyteller, to help you be a connector. It's really, really important to me that we integrate our stories because we aren't just business owners. We are moms, dads, entrepreneurs, uncles, aunts, friends. And so I am based out of Oklahoma. I am a mom of four. I do wear all the hats. So we homeschool all the things. And it is my mission to help you craft messages that truly resonate with your audience so that you don't waste time on fluff or guesswork. My goal is to help you basically create the version of freedom for you. And so that is what I do. I am a resident council member with Modern Business Mastery. And like I said, my goal is to help you find your voice and live purposefully. We're going to be intentional about our messaging. How you can connect with Modern Business Mastery. You can join the newsletter, have a free strategy building session, connect on LinkedIn, or download the Goals to Game Plan Toolkit. There are a couple of different options for Modern Business Mastery if you are interested. We have the M360, which is a blueprint, coaching, and support. It is a 12-month business acceleration program. So we're helping you grow you, or you can do the Modern Business Mastery membership, which is going to be a little bit less intense as Modern Business as M360, but there's still a lot of really amazing things. And if you are on the fence about either, I just encourage you to kind of meditate, pray, whatever you feel like on that. But it is a very, very special community. I've only ever found one other community like this on the internet. So I highly, highly recommend it. Important links. You can visit the website, join the newsletter, Modern Business Mastery, your strategy session. We've already gone through all of these things. So yes, do something. Take action. Today, really short, simple, we're going to talk about 5 mistakes that you make when you're writing your own copy and what you should do instead. And then we're going to jump into our copy clinic. So here we go. 5 mistakes that we make when we're writing our own copy. We tend to make it all about me. We forget. We do this stuff all the time. And so sometimes we forget that we're not writing for ourselves. We're writing for our potential clients. The calls to actions are not messed up, or are messed up, which we're going to talk about all of these a little bit more in depth. Is your formatting? What's going on with your formatting? Is it working, not working? Have you formatted for online as well as computers versus, on a mobile, so on a tablet or on a cell phone? Are you using jargon and buzzwords? And are you testing your content? And like I said, we're going to talk about all of these things. And if you have questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I absolutely, I went and made the slides pretty limited, very simple today. And the reason I did is because I wanted this to be a conversation. So the first thing that we do is we make it all about us. We are in the trenches. We see every piece of content that we put out. And sometimes we feel like we're beating a horse to death because it's like, I'm talking about this thing again and again and again and again. And surely someone is going to tell me to shut up because I am talking about it all the time. What we don't realize is that, especially in the world of social media and being on the internet, there's a very, very small percentage of people that are actually seeing our message and are actually seeing our message consistently. I know when I started in 2020, they said it takes an average of 7 touch points for someone to decide that they know, like, and trust you and they're going to buy. That was 5 years ago. And the last time I did any kind of research on it, just to see, that number had gone up to 21 because there is so much messaging thrown at us. And so it does, when you're by yourself, and feel like we are beating a horse to death. I've said the same message 100 times, but the truth is your people are not hearing that message 100 times. And it does not hurt for them to hear that message from you over and over again. There's actually research that suggests that just by seeing your face, you're building know, like, and trust. And so when you're writing, any kind of writing, whether it's your sales page, DM, anything like that, I need you to ask yourself, what's in it for them? Why is this important to them? Not why you want them, like why you want to make the sale or why you want to do whatever it is. You have to kind of reframe your brain and be like, cool, I know all of these things. I could tell you all of these things, but what are the things that I can pull out of this, what I've got in my head, that's really going to help the person that I'm talking to? What's in it for them? And even when you're segmenting and doing some of those things, like you have to think, could this person that I'm talking to, like Nikki, I know you do gardenings, and I did see some of Tanya's advice when she was talking about like they may want to be a master gardener, but they're just beginning. Like, so you have to really kind of think, what if I was a beginner, what kind of beginner am I? Who am I talking to? Am I talking to a person who's like, I have lived in a city all of my life, and my experience with gardening is the garden bowl outside on my patio and my apartment, because it's going to be very different than if you're talking to somebody very likely from Oklahoma, where we have land. We have land all around us, typically. Even in Oklahoma City, there are very intentional spaces of gardens and things like that to be able to have the people that live in the city and live in 4 and 5, story apartments to be able to kind of have that experience. So you kind of have to think about like, what is their experience? How are we talking to them? What do I need them to know? Because the other thing when you're writing, it's not just what's in it for them, but if you're using, well, we'll talk about this with buzzwords and stuff too, but you need to know, you need to make sure that they understand. You have to kind of take out all assumptions where you're assuming like just because they're a beginner doesn't mean that they don't know how to cook and won't use that gardening to cook. Like maybe they have the experience with the actual vegetables, but not with the actual growing piece. And it can get really complicated really fast when you get into this because we're thinking about all of these different things. I think I might have skipped one. I'm going to double check something. Okay, no, this was number one. Okay, so we have to kind of switch that perspective. What's in it for them? How how are they going to benefit from what I am writing? How am I giving them value? Am I making an ask? Like, what do I want them to do? Even though I am the person writing, how do I get their buy-in, their attention, and how do I get them to take action? The second thing is the call to action. One of the things we see very often, it's the wrong call to action. There are multiple calls to action, or there is no call to action. So the wrong call to action, tell them what you want them to do. And be mindful of the feedback, because maybe you want them to join your course, but maybe there's a step in between that we have far forgotten. So people aren't going and jumping and buying a course. Perfect example. I'm launching a course on Wednesday, and I'm going to say like the doors open to my course. And I've had to be really mindful of like the people I've talked to have all said, we want more information, but there might be a step before we buy that course. Maybe it's a mini course. Maybe it's a master class or something. Maybe that's my sales mechanism to get them to buy the course. So maybe my call to action is wrong. We're going to find out, because one of the things that we are going to talk about is, we have to test our content. We have to test our content and get feedback, because you don't know what you don't know. Multiple calls to action. If you tell people to do multiple things, they will do nothing, because they get confused or it feels overwhelming. Years ago, when my two older boys were little, I got to the point where I was like, I'm gonna let them pick out their clothes. The youngest one, who's also autistic, we didn't know that at the time. We learned really fast that the choice was you get two choices. Okay, that's it. You get two. You may pick this pair of clothes or this shirt or that shirt. That is it. Because if you gave him more than two or three or four, the kid would run around naked because he was like, no, forget you all. I'm out. It was too much. And adults are very much that way too. If you tell them to do multiple things or it takes multiple steps, unless it is an easy thing to work through. So, like when I say multiple steps, what immediately comes to mind is like a 2-step checkout. That's easy. But if you have to do a 2-step checkout where it's like, sign in, Now get the security code to prove that you are who you're supposed to be. Now put your bank account information in. Now we want to verify that, that email address. The harder you make it, the more people are going to jump. So if you are doing multiple calls to actions or multiple steps, we have to make this make sense. It has to be an easily understood and not, hey, I get it because I built the system, but easily understood for your potential people, for your audience. Multiple calls to action get really, really fuzzy really fast. And one of the things that I was always taught with emails was like one email, one call to action. Because if you overwhelm them, they will put it down and say, I will deal with that later. And later never happens. And then the other thing that we see very often is people forget to put a call to action. If you don't tell people what to do, they will do nothing. So we have to be mindful of our calls to action and what we want them to do. So how we fix these things? Really easy. Listen for feedback, see what people are telling you, making it as super, super simple as you can make it, and putting a very simple call to action that you want them to actually do. The next one, jargon and buzzwords. Started to talk about this a little while ago. Can a third grader understand what you're trying to say? Years ago, when I started copywriting, had somebody tell me, go do the mom test. And I was like, what do you mean the mom test? And she said, Kelly, how old's your mom? I said, my mom is a boomer. I'm the baby. And she said, go ask your mom if it makes sense to her. Because if she doesn't understand it, even if she's not your ideal client, she doesn't understand the basic concept, you're done. And so now I've taken to asking my 14-year-old or my 12-year-old, hey, does this make sense? Sometimes they'll say yes. Sometimes my 14-year-old, who is super into marketing, will say things like, what's your plan here? Or how does this fit into the bigger picture? If you're using jargon or you're using buzzwords, one, a lot of people turn off on buzzwords. They just like your brain just kind of checks out. If you're using jargon, it makes sense to you, doesn't necessarily make sense to someone you're bringing into your world. So one of the things I started to say earlier when we were talking about making it all about them, if you use a word, even if it's a common word, define it. Define what it means to you because you're putting everybody on the same page. So where you may say like, today we're going to talk about community. My next sentence would be, in this context, here's what community means to me. Or here's how we're talking about community today. Because especially with you, Nikki, with the gardening and stuff, you might talk about square foot gardening and I might think of something totally different because my experience is different. So if you define it, you're putting everybody on the same page, which makes it super, super easy to continue. Okay, I understand what you mean by that. Let's keep going. Same with buzzwords. If you're talking about like, well, in our industry, we say whatever, like I've had copywriting has come up. I've had people literally tell me, why would I hire you? I don't want to copyright. I need a lawyer, not a writer for copyright because they have the other copyright in their head. Oh, I need to copyright my logo. Cool. I'm not that kind of copywriter. Like I've had to have that conversation with people. I'm the word copywriter. Or if I talk to people, I'm like, show me your copy. What do you mean? I didn't copy anything. Show me the words that you have written for your sales page. That is what we're going to call copy here. Oh, okay. So you have to just understand that because we're in it all the time and we're in the thick of it, sometimes we forget that we're using jargon because it's just what we do and we understand that. It's a sales page, it's a funnel, it's a whatever. And I've had people be like, what do you mean by funnel? And I have to say, cool, you don't know because you're not in this world. Got it. Let's back up. We're going to start and we're trying to get people in. And then I will go back and I'll explain those pieces. They're buzzwords. They're words that make sense to us that because we're in this space, but it might not make sense to, someone who's trying to learn how to garden or somebody who's like, I want to start a business. I don't know what a funnel is. I just talk to people. We build it and they will come because they're new and they think that happens. Um, you know, we all start somewhere. So we have to kind of set that foundation. And so one of the things I highly recommend to fix this is super easy. Just tell them what you think the word means because you're building that foundation together to be able to move forward and grow. Um, Sorry, guys, I'm having a moment here because I think I lost my pages, but it's fine because I'm on different words than I thought I was on. One of the things I was going to say, if I haven't talked about this one, with formatting. Oh, okay, I know why. We skipped this page. Formatting. This is super important, and so many people miss it because they design on their computer and they walk away. And the last research I looked at was something like 85% of people are going to view your emails, view your sales page, view your website on a mobile device. And if you're not formatted for that, they take about 3 seconds to go, I can't look at it on my phone. I'll do it later on a computer. We say later about a lot of things and it just doesn't happen. So we've got to make whatever we're trying to share easy for them to consume. How is it going to be, like, what is the easiest way for them to be able to access this information? All right. And then the last one we're going to talk about is you have to test your content. No matter how well you write, everything in the world is subjective, especially great copy, whether that is email copy, sales page copy, it's subjective. Started to write more, got sidetracked. You don't know if your piece of content works until you put it out in the world and let it fly. And so I am a huge, huge, huge proponent of we have to test your content and we have to get feedback. And then nothing is ever final. It's all an iteration. So we put our sales page out, we show it to a few people, we say, what do you love about it? What do you hate about it? I tend to do what I've been taught, which is a start, stop, continue. Give me 2 things you loved, 2 things you think I should maybe change or that you hated, and 2 things that you think I should continue doing, or like 2 parts that you really felt kind of called to. And what I have found is that by doing that, I tend to get really great feedback on, like, we love this, we love the flow, we love how that works. We didn't really feel like this piece of content, this part of the page really resonated with us. Or, hey, with these pictures and these words, we felt like that really talked to us. And a lot of times I'll even go a step further and be like, well, what would you say instead? Or what about it really spoke to you? Because if you're doing that, what you do then is you record it or you write it down or whatever, and then you take those ideas and you put them back into the next iteration of the writing. And you'll start to see happen is people will come to you and say, that was incredible. How did you know? How did you know that I felt like that? You're in my head. And I kind of have to laugh because 90% of the time when people say that to me, you're in my head, how did you know? It's because you told me. You told me what you thought, and I just listened. And I think a lot of people right now want to feel heard. They want to feel like someone's listening. And so instead of just putting it out there and leaving it, you have to test it and you have to get that feedback on it. What's working? What's not working? How can we make this better? What is one thing we can change on this to make this better? Is it a spacing issue? Is it where, I'm writing about me instead of about how I want you to consume my stuff? Like, if you are being very intentional, it should be very, very easy. All of these things are very easy to fix, but they're things that we just forget. And so we just keep moving forward. It's all good, but yay, we're finally into the copy clinic. Wow, some of us can't spell this morning. It's fine. We're into the copy clinic. Still can't spell. It's all good. Good. And Nikki, we're going to get into your stuff. So my question to you is, are we looking at the sequence of emails, or are we looking at the other thing she shared with me was this?
No, actually, it's totally different that I just, um,
Okay, let me see if I can find it because I
uh,
also had that pulled up just a little while ago.
okay. It's the
Have you?
sequence. Yeah, and thank you for your feedback on the Sage sequence. We're still working on it, and we're still switching things around as we're developing the app. So it's a work in progress, and you'll probably see that sequence again.
That is amazing though. I mean, the other thing I will say that I absolutely love is you're always taking action on it. Like,
Oh,
you're always moving forward. Let's see if this is what I think it.
actually, didn't get to watch Tanya's reply to me 2 hours ago, so thank you for letting me know about that.
I've only made it through about half of it, but
Okay,
Jack
good.
is 100%
Okay.
salt.
Okay,
So like,
that was fast. Like I put that out there a while ago too. So and you as you know, because you replied to it right away. So I haven't seen it since. But thank you so much for that. Okay, yeah, this is the one. And it's a sequence of emails that starts tomorrow. So as you know, I have so many sequences going on at the same time. I've my welcome sequence, I have the sage sequence, I have the sequence from chefs. I try to separate that out totally. And then I have a sequence for if people are in the Plant Your Pantry challenge. And then I have a sequence for if people are wanting to see the free version, email version of my course. So you know where you're talking about your extra step before your course. So I have
mhm.
a free version of my course before I ask them
Nice.
to buy the
Nice,
course.
nice.
That being said, it's still not, converting. So there's a lot of other things too that my husband was saying last night for our program, and this is what the sequence is moving towards. So at the end of March, March 22nd, we have a workshop. And so I always look at the sequences as like this campaign, like all of March is like a campaign towards the workshop, March 22nd.
Which I think that's a great idea because that was actually going to be my next question was what is your sales mechanism for selling the course? Because like right now, my sales mechanism for selling the beta of my course is literally my goal is to talk to 100 people and
Yeah.
basically say like, here's what I'm doing. If you're interested, awesome. If you're not, that's okay too.
I have
Um,
done that too, where I'm talking to people one on one, or at least sending Loom videos one on one. But it's like, I think the most converting for me, that's what my husband was saying, was when they come to a workshop here and then
Yeah,
get to
because
work.
that's my goal is to do a webinar at some point, and have that as my sales conversion or my sales mechanism. Because I think there's something about spending half an hour to an hour with someone and saying like, I'm gonna give you these free things. I'm gonna give you the how or I'm gonna give you the what you need to do. Here are the 3 or 4 things I suggest you do. I'm not gonna give you the how because the how is my secret sauce. If you want to know what that looks like, that's this course. That's working one-on-one with me. That's, these other pieces. And I think it's an absolutely brilliant thing to do to say, I'm building this campaign leading up to this. And uh, from there, that's my sales mechanism to hop into the next thing. Um, just curious, do you open the doors like are the doors always open or is it like we open the doors for 2 weeks, quarterly or something like that?
So in order to have that sort of scarcity in an honest, in Intigo way,
Integrity.
integrity, like the whole year it's open, but seasonally, like Christmas and now Easter, we are having for GIY, at least for this particular product, we are trying to put a bonus that's not normally associated with it the rest of the year. So now if you would purchase GIY, you would get Sage with it. You
Mhm.
for as long as you are in GIY, you would get Sage with it. And so that's a thing that we're gonna do. And then when during the campaigns of Sage, so first quarter was Sage. During those campaigns, we would have say if you purchase Sage, you would get the GIY community with it, or something of that sort. So it's sort of like a little bit more, but not for the rest of the campaign. When we go off of that, like now, we're not actively promoting Sage, but people are still falling into it, some other way. And so what happens is, as you'll see here, the workshop, which is paid, so I have free workshops all over the place. Sometimes I get paid for them by the collaborators that ask me to give the workshops, and sometimes I don't. It's just bringing more new people into my sphere. But March 22nd is a paid workshop, and I guess the difference there that I'm trying to sell is it's very personalized, and I really go deep into what your location is, and yeah, on the call, and it's about building guilds or like companion planting. So this March 22nd is that workshop, and on it's a paid workshop that people purchase either online or in person. And from the workshop, the sort of upsell is the GIY program. That is, so the first email is tomorrow. I just did a workshop with Green America about this topic, and we also have a blog on that topic. And so I'm telling them to um, review the topic if they missed the blog. And then PS is the workshop.
Yeah. I think I the way that you have it laid out, I think is really, really good. Um, Things that I might suggest. My first thought is maybe give yourself a little bit more space.
Yes.
And just what I want you to think about is some of these sentences are kind of long. Is there a way that we can get the same point across in a little bit more concise way?
Okay.
Because as an email, which this is just the first one, it's beautiful. I actually really love the graphic.
Okay.
Um, and the PS looks really good. I'm assuming you're gonna put like yours in planting or growing to here's us growing together, Nikki
Oh,
and Day.
sorry, I did put it grow abundantly. It's
Yeah.
actually here. Sorry.
Oh no, okay. It's way okay, I see why. Because you have two PSs, which is what I missed.
Ah,
Um,
I have two PSs. That's right. I do have two PSs.
which is fine. But I would maybe do PS and then like PPS. There you go. Because I love that idea. Or, you've got this free webinar. Like here's what we have to think about. What we have to think about is if we want them to go, what do we want them to do? Because like we just talked about, we really need one call to action. Two is probably okay.
Yeah.
Um,
So should I
we're
just remove the free one? Because that one is a free one. Like I'm collaborating with somebody on, this is more, you know how Tanya has her deliverables to us, like where she trains
at the
us?
bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we have like this M360 special ones, right? And so this one's like a special one that's more for GI wires because I have clients who are in the tropical sphere, but then I'm paying this guy. So I'm like, I might as well open it up to my whole.
No, 100%. In fact, I actually had this happen to me. Actually, this almost happened to me this week, as or next week, as it were. So I was asked to be a part of a summit. I ended up saying no, thank you. And the reason I ended up saying no, thank you, was because I was super excited about my doors opening tomorrow and being open for 2 weeks. And the way it would have landed is I would have been in this summit literally like 2 days um, before my doors would have closed. And I went to a coach friend of mine and I said, Lauren, what do I do? Because if I accept this summit, part of the thing with accepting the summit and being a part of this and being paid to do this is that part of the deal is that I have to promote in my own email list for 2 weeks, which feels
Oh,
really counterproductive when I'm trying to promote my course and what I'm doing. And
uh-huh.
she said, well, first of all, we try not to do that. And then, and she said, but it does occasionally happen. And when it happens, she said, put it as a PS. Like, here's all the things that are going on. Here's my course. Here's whatever. Hey, PS, I'm also going to be in the summit. If you're interested in that, grab it here. So because you're still promoting it, but sometimes we're just going to have to tack it on as a PS because there's too many things going on in our lives. And like I said, I ended up not doing it because once I kind of prayed about it and thought about it a little bit, I was like, no, I really need to, if I'm serious about running a beta course, like that really needs to be the focus. Um, but the same thing, like if you're paying this guy, I might even make a point of being like, hey, if you're a GIYer and you want a free, because I might you go one little step further here and basically say like, hey, GIYers, if you're really interested in, you know, subtropical, how to grow in that, we have this free webinar for you. Does
Ah, okay.
that make sense what I'm saying? Like
So
basically
yeah.
letting them say, oh, you're talking to me.
Well, this is where I actually segment, and then the GIYers have that where they don't need this part because it's part of their course, this 10 crucial steps.
Mm-hmm.
I just do their call to action is for the week is to go to this webinar, which is meant for them
Yep.
anyway. But I'm
Yeah.
almost, but this email is for all the masses without the GIYers. So I'm wondering if I should just delete it and like I'll use
I
it
don't know that
again.
you'll need it if you're already telling the GIYers to go to this. I don't know if if like my thought is, are we trying to catch one or two people? Like, is it worth the
Yeah,
money
it's like too
potentially
much.
having?
Yeah, it's also like too much, and I have so many. That's basically the theme of this whole sequence is I took so long in the work bubble, this 4 hours, just figuring out like where goes what, and given all the content that I've been able to bring out now because of my assistants. But now I think I'll just X this last second PS here and
Yeah, I would not even because here's what I want you to think about. Yes, you might get one or two people, but potentially you're going to lose a lot more people because they see the first PS and they stop reading.
yeah, yeah, you're right. Okay.
That's my thought on that. As we move kind of into more, I'm gonna go ahead and go to the next one. I
Mhm.
really like how this is laid out. I also really like your emojis in terms of like how this to me feels very easy to consume
Okay, great.
because we have a checklist, we have our workshop details. Um, it feels very easy to read, it feels very easy to consume. I really like how it goes. The only suggestion I'll actually even like that extra space because it's letting my brain kind of segment, like my brain is seeing pieces as opposed to the whole email, which is actually really good. It makes your email super scannable, which is great.
Mhm.
Um, and we want that. We want it to be something that it's super easy. Trying to look. There was another thought there. What was it?
So the second one is a direct ask email to the workshop. There's nothing
Yeah.
else, no other call to action.
Yeah. No, it's a direct ask. Your call to action is, hey, sign up, which I think is great. Um, I think it looks really, really good. I had another thought, but it went away. So let me think about that for a second. Oh, I know
Did
what
I
it was.
just remember again? There again is that PS with the Jim Gale webinar, which is driving me nuts now because I'm like, this is all laid out. And when I invited him, I was like, yeah, it was way in January, so I don't even know what's happening at this point. So, yeah, I almost want to remove it. I guess this PS, I almost just want to remove it so people just focus on the.
Yeah, I would remove it if we're trying to get them to do that. The other thing I started to say is you have subscriber name at the very top.
Oh
It
yeah,
would
yeah, that's
I
just.
would add it also. Like if you're like maybe right here at the beginning of if you're ready to take gardening to the next level,
Yes, yes,
because there is
yeah.
uh so yeah, then this is for you. Like or even, like I'm thinking like Kelly, if you're ready to take gardening to the next level, this is for you. Or if you're ready to take this to the next level, then Kelly, this workshop's for you. And the reason is because there's actually scientific research that says that when we see our name, we go back and we like are more in tune with what we re-engage.
I see, I
So if
see.
that's what you're wanting to do, I think that's a really easy way to do that.
Yeah, yeah, I do that a lot. And by the way, this is like I've fed chat a lot of my what I want in my emails. So this is getting really, really easier now. And one of the things that I do when I just write it myself is also to put that subscriber name everywhere, like
Yeah, I would put it a
make it
couple
more
of times in each email.
personal. Yeah, make it more personal, at the end especially.
Well, and I actually know some copywriters don't even do like the hi in the name anymore
Mhm.
because there are people that will say like that tells me that it's canned. That Chad has pulled it out or they've hired a copywriter. Because think about it, when you email your best friend, do you always say like, "Hey Jennifer"? Not
Oh,
always.
okay, okay, okay. Well, should I just, well, honestly, when I
Totally up to you. But that is like sometimes I do and sometimes I don't, just because
write,
I always like when I sit down to write my emails to my list, I usually am writing to my best friend who's also an entrepreneur in very much the same space. But like I try to write it like I'm writing to her, and then I go back and take her name out and write first name in all of those places where I was talking to her. So those are just some things to consider that you may or may, as you move forward, may or may,
yeah,
change or it may evolve, and that's okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, I'm changing them now. Thank you.
No worries. Looking. Um,
Okay, so if you see like the bolden ones, those are just like chat tends to bold a lot of things, and I don't want
that's
everything.
another thing I was going to say, and I got sidetracked. But like right through here where it says what's your biggest takeaway from this workshop
Yeah.
or blog if you read it, I might even I might only go in and unbold that and just bold what's your biggest takeaway.
Ah,
Because Because the reason chat does that is because if it's bold, our brains tend to focus on it. And I have been told several times if you're writing something that's, let's say, 6 to 10 sentences,
Mhm.
bold the words or phrases that you want people to pick up on, because a lot of times they're not going to read all 10 of those sentences. They're going to pick up on the bold or italic stuff and move on.
I see. Okay. All right. I'm trying to unbold some of these things.
You're fine. Like it's like again, this is kind of like what do you want to do? And we kind of have to still think about like what's in it for them. How are we helping them? We're giving them this workshop. I love the sneak peek inside the workshop.
Yeah,
It's great.
it's already planted, right? I'm just hoping I get the pictures and I actually remember on the day of to start taking pictures and such. But yeah, I'm trying to remove some of the bolds and stuff.
Another thing I would suggest, especially if you have like a VA or somebody who's putting this into Kit,
Hmm.
is like this doesn't look like a whole thought. And it could completely be, but anything like this that I need to go back and do something with, I tend to go in and highlight yellow so that it
Oh, thank
catches my
you.
eyes. And I
Yes.
know that when because I do all of my own writing in a Google Doc, but if I'm doing this for a client or even myself, if it's a question I have or something like I need a testimonial, I will bold that yellow so that my brain's like, why is that yellow? Something's wrong. Like I need to fix something before I put that
That is good
into
advice.
Kit.
Yeah.
Um, so
Mm.
that might help you just to have some sort of system in place so that when, especially if you start passing this off to a VA to say, like, please put my emails in, just be like, if you see yellow, we need to talk. Like, we're missing something. Like, or you need to go into the library and grab the photo or whatever it is. But that way you're on the same page and you're starting to make this as easy as possible. So you don't have to keep making decisions each time or worry about skipping it.
Yeah. Okay. So this one's just like another call to action to GIY, but with the replay now I mean, with the replay, with post the webinar, post the workshop.
Yeah, post, which is all good.
Okay.
And the GIY, I feel like having the replay is really great. Is my question there? Check out the replay. If this was
Oh,
done with
it's not.
chat,
It's
okay,
actually there is no replay for the GIY. It's not. There's no replay.
okay,
But here's the other thing, Kelly. So there is a downsell to GIY. So if people do not purchase it but open, I want to tag them and then I want to offer them the GIY community, which is 99 a year or 99
hmm,
a month. And so that one, that's its own other sequence too.
yeah. Well,
It's not even here yet.
the question there becomes, do you have the automation set up to kick it in?
I don't have it yet. Yeah. So maybe some things that I need to put here.
That it was just that just might be something too, because my first thought was that was a
The downsell sequence. Wait, but not in blue. Yeah, this is good. The reason that I'm here is so that I can just like otherwise, I won't do these things and I won't be so exact about all the stuff that I'm doing
mhm.
regarding all of this. Yeah, so that's its own sequence and its own like
Yeah, well, and the truth is that if you set the automation up, and I know there's a way to do it. I would have to Google it, especially with Kit, but there's a way to set up the automation that if they get into it, but they don't actually purchase, that it will start that next thing like, hey, we noticed that you didn't buy this and we still want to be here to support
yeah.
you. Therefore,
Yeah, I've used that automation a lot. Sometimes I don't use it because it does do a lot of triggering and that's when my course because I have emails to like support their onboarding and nurture during the course. So if they finish one module, then it triggers something else. So I've used automations in that way. Also to purge my list. Like they go through a sequence of emails, and if they click saying they want to keep on the list, then the automation says that they don't get deleted.
nice. Nice. So I mean, like so far what we've done, they're absolutely incredible.
Thank you.
You said you said chat helped write this, correct?
Yes, I'm just editing it now in front of you.
No, no. The reason I'm asking is because you have a thing here that says like Happy Easter Sunday. Easter's the 20th this year.
Oh, isn't it the 13th?
Pretty sure it's 20. But let me check.
Easter Sunday. I thought it was the 2025. It's the 20th?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, all this time I've been thinking it's the 13th,
No,
Kelly.
that's Palm Sunday.
Oh my gosh, that's right. No, wait a minute. Oh my gosh. Ah, all right. I gotta like rewrite my whole thing and all the dates I need to change them.
I'm
Oh.
sorry.
Really, the 20th? You're so on top of this more than me. I was like, I've been doing like because we're leaving because that's the break of my kids too, so we're leaving like half of Holy Week and then coming back. Um, oh, okay, okay. Now I have to reset everything. All
I'm
right.
sorry.
Thank you. I'm so glad I had this. So this is why I wanted to review it specifically with you, because now you see like the overlay of the faith that I
Yeah.
had to put on here. Like I don't want to send something so close, on Holy Week or so close to Easter that's not related to Easter.
Yeah, yeah.
I want it like I don't want it to be a purely like a gardening thing. And then on Easter, I just want that more jovial, like happier tone. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
at the same time, oh, okay, so if it's the 20th, oh, that is, it does say Easter Sunday on there. But I didn't, in my head, I was just, it's because we're leaving on
It
the
was really early last year. It was like the second because my
20th.
daughter is the second. And
Oh
so
my gosh. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you caught it. Okay.
that's why I
Okay.
was like, did Chad do that or did we do that?
No,
Like,
no, no. I totally did that because that's part of like I'm also we're also doing like a family vacation and then okay. So then here's the other thing. Okay, so there's the Easter Sunday. I have this meditation garden blog. And anyways, that's how you're gonna see this kind of unfold. Whatever the week is, Holy Week is before the Easter Sunday. I wanted to go like a little bit deeper. So this is a whole blog on designing your prayer space in the garden. And then that blog has a call to action to this webinar that's also its own CTA on a different
yeah.
email.
Well, Palm Sunday's the 13th. I know that.
Sunday is the 13th, yes. So now I'll know that Palm Sunday is the 13th. But it could be, yeah. It could be that you're going deeper there. And then the
You could
following,
even make that 2 emails though if you really wanted to. Like if you wanted to make it a 2 week thing about the meditate, because you could talk about meditation in the garden, and
oh,
you could talk about how to set
yes,
up
I
your
could.
meditation space.
Not just to
I mean,
extend that, yes.
that's what I would do because you have an extra week now. I would just extend that. And maybe even say like, cool, if we're even going to go so far as like, here's a meditation you can do in your garden.
I
Whether
love
it's
it.
like a YouTube video you find or
Oh,
something like that.
oh my gosh,
Like
I
that's what
love
I would do.
that. I love that. Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I know in that time, even I would feel like I shouldn't be, I should be more in that meditative space. So I wanted to come across. Okay,
Yeah,
very good. Thank you for suggesting that. So I'm just gonna put a note here for myself to like
you're fine. I'm going to go grab a drink. I will be right back.
break this up into 2 weeks of meditation in letters and maybe add a prayer. Okay.
That gives you some ideas to help you there.
Oh,
Because yeah,
yeah.
because Easter is late this year.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So that being said, Easter's on the 20th, and then GIY cart close for that special offer of the has sage with it is on the 26th, which is a Saturday. And then, okay, so you know how this is where okay, so we have that the faith aspect in there already that I've put in, and now I'm going back to like okay, GIY is a really good program after Easter, and all the wonderful things that my clients are being able to do in their gardens, which you will see in the subsequent emails, like Nisi and Chris and Andrea's garden. Um, one of the biggest events. So I start off this sequence, or in the middle of this sequence, on the 25th of on the 31st of March to the April 3rd, so the very first week of April. I have a
Okay, so
live.
that would be March 30th because there's not a 31 in March.
Okay, wait a minute. And then I mislabeled. No, 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 I didn't. There's no 31 in March. 30 days of
Nope,
seed.
just 30.
Really? Oh my gosh, Kelly, what's happening to my
No,
cat?
no, you're right. It's 31. I'm having a day. My
Okay.
child is going to be 6 in 2 weeks. Who knows anymore?
Oh
I
my
told
God.
you the wrong number. My bad. That's me. That's
Okay.
not you.
Good, good, good. I'm just
But
kidding.
change Easter Sunday to the 20th so you don't come back later and
Yes, I will
accidentally
do
mess
that. I'll
yourself
do
up
that. I'll
there.
do that. Okay, hang on a second.
No, you're right. The 31st through the first week of April.
8 through 13, and then I'm gonna do the 20th for Happy Easter. Um, okay, so going back to this first week of April, all right, here's where I'm a little confused, okay? Because on the 25th, when I do the recap, 25th, I just do a PS to GIY again. Then I was thinking, so this is how I was trying to flank my campaign for GIY with community. At the beginning of the campaign sequence of, right, so we're done with one product, March 22nd webinar, workshop, right? We're done with that Bethany Farm workshop. And then I was going to flank it with two community events. So the first one, March 25th is a Tuesday. So that's what's, the recap of the webinar, the recap of the workshop email goes out. I was going to uh, break my weekly streak and do two emails that week. On a Thursday, send an email asking folks, and the audience is all subscribers, okay? Asking folks if they wanted to join the Plant Your Pantry Challenge live. So I'll be on Instagram live every, see, this is where I'm not sure whether it'll be Instagram or YouTube because I'm gonna try to choose one social media platform, and I think it should be YouTube. Um, I'll be on YouTube live from the 31st through March 4th, through April 4th, guiding them through the Plant Your Pantry Challenge every day. And so that's like fostering a little bit more of community. And the last day, there's a webinar because we have a group call, basically a group coaching call on that Friday. And I'm just gonna have people, anybody come in and celebrate their Plant Your Pantry Challenge, wins, and be with us on that Ask Anything Gardening call. So that's the first week of April. That leads now all the emails subsequent to that are nurture emails towards GIY, as you know, and meditation and the Easter um, thing. But then GIY cart closes April 26th. And then at the end, I have the following week, I have a community seed swap where um, I I introduced this concept of seed swapping with strangers, and everybody has, like, we have a Google spreadsheet that we're going to share and try to post what seeds we want to swap and see how I'm going to get them to exchange emails and mailing addresses and all that stuff. And that runs for a month, that community seed swap. So of course GIY years new and old included in that. And that's the last email that you see here, which is the heirloom seed. So the blog associated with that seed swap is the one about the importance of heirloom seeds. Um, and then it goes into a seed swap. Now, what's the purpose of the seed swap? See, initially I was going to have it the day before GIY cart closed, and now I moved it because I felt like there were too many emails, like to invite people to the cart close. I didn't know how to lay out the emails, Kelly. Like,
No, I got you. You got a lot going on. And part of it is you got to think about this through because one of the questions that I was going to have for you was, is there something, I know you said you only send out one email a week.
yeah.
If I was in your shoes, my thought immediately was I would have sent out something on March 20th because it's the first day of spring.
Oh,
It's
wait,
this-
that's Easter Sunday, right?
no, so I'm talking about in March, like in a like 10 days.
Oh,
In 10 days is the first day of spring.
oh, and that is a Thursday. Okay.
So
Oh, all
I
right.
just I don't know, like, because my immediate thought is I actually love the idea of the seed swap. My brain, and you can totally ask this because this is your thing. But like my brain immediately went like, why not introduce the seed swap on
On
spring
what?
equinox?
Okay.
Which, and then you could run it for like a month and a half, and I would do a celebration at the end where you were gonna.
Well, that's what I actually, that's what I wanted, Kelly. I actually had it set for like April 1st to May 1st. Well, now I can do it from March 20th.
But you see what I'm saying? Because it can
Yeah.
be its own running thing. It's almost your low hanging fruit. Like that's open to anybody. That's, like we'd love to have you as part of our community, blah, blah, blah. And then here's these other things that we have, but that we have going on. Like that's what my brain has automatically gone to. Is like the seed swap sounds like an amazing idea. I would center that around the spring equinox.
Okay. That sounds good. I'm gonna send out an email for that on Thursday. But now I have a question because then it's overlapping. I'm looking at my calendar. That's why I'm looking at there. Then
You're
it's
fine. No, I know it is. And that's the kind of we're getting into that whole like, okay, what are our main things we're trying to pull off here?
uh, I'm trying. Sometimes I think I'm trying to do too much, but I'm trying to make it exciting for people too, because otherwise it's just like a snooze fest, especially right now in Nigeria.
Well, and you're in it all the time. So that's the other thing is like, in a way, if you think about this, oh, we've got some friend joining us. Awesome. In a way, what I'm what I'm thinking is like your low-hanging fruit is your seed swap. It's open to anybody. It gets them into the community. It starts the nurture piece. It gets them into your email list. It, and then you could even go a step further and be like, cool, now come join this paid workshop or the free one, whatever. Here's the one I want you to go to. You're almost building your funnel. Unintentionally you built it backwards is what you did. But like the seed swap's the top, it's for everybody. The middle one
Okay.
is your workshop where you're trying to get them to do what you want them to do, and
All
then
right.
ultimately the DIY is where we're moving towards, right?
Yes. All right. I'm gonna move that last email up to that Thursday, March 20th one. Thanks, Kelly.
I mean, I'm hoping that helps you because it does feel overwhelming, but I think that if you think about this in terms of like, what's my community? Like, what is my I'm trying to bring people into my funnel. That's my seed swap. That's how we're going to bring as many possible people as we can possibly get in here. And from there, now we can start saying, cool. Remind me again, when is paid, your paid
Shop
workshop is the
March 22nd.
22nd. So as long as they get in around that time, you could still give them a push to the paid workshop.
Oh,
Kind
that's
of a fast push, but it's still like,
yeah,
cool, you're into this. We want to invite you into this paid workshop.
yeah. Okay. That
Because
sounds
I would almost look at the seed swap as this is how we're building our audience.
yeah.
Like it's building community, but it's also to let new people in and start to build their audience because then as you start building those people in, when you do the plant your pantry, you've got more people that are potentially going to be involved.
Yes. Thank you. I have got a lot to think about. You've got me thinking about a lot. Thank you so much, Kelly, for your help. And Rika, I want to
Yeah.
give you also some time to consult with Kelly.
Rika, we're so glad you're here. But yeah, hopefully that helps. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. But that was immediately what my brain went to was like spring equinox.
Okay,
First
I'm
day of
gonna
spring
put
is the
that word
20th.
spring equinox in there too.
So, hopefully, like I really think you've got a large chunk of what you're doing. The next thing I would encourage you to do, and you kind of are already doing it, is like, what is the purpose? If I'm adding anything else, what is the purpose? How does this fit into the funnel I'm creating for this time? And then one of the other things I have a real good friend constantly tell me because she knows that I'm kind of like you, where I'm like, this is a really good idea. We're going to do it too. And she's like, Kelly, input versus output. How much work is it going to take and what is the output going to be? Like, what are you getting out of this? Are we building our community? Are you just doing this for value? What is the point of what you're doing? And so she says, I run everything and I'm getting to the point where I kind of am at capacity. So I'm starting to do the same thing for the input that I'm going to put into this. What is the output or the gain going to be for me? Because like right now you've got lots of pieces that are very close to clicking into place together. I would not say continue to pile on. I would say like we are good through May And maybe the other piece of this is to figure out what the end or what the rest of May and June looks like, because then you can say, this is Q2. This is Q2. Is we're gonna focus on these things.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely want to do that as soon as possible. Like I feel bad doing April already mid-March because it means and actually part of this you can see there's still March emails there going out. It's just still
Yeah.
March.
But I mean, that way you're doing it. The other thing to think about is that if you're doing it as a quarter at a time, that's your 90-day sprint. So like, these are the things I'm going to do in the next 90 days.
Mm, right.
And then as you start to get set up, what you'll see happen, like if you do that and you have your plan for Q2 around the end of May, around the 1st of June, you'll be like, cool, what does my Q3 plan look like?
Okay. Okay.
And then you kind of get to where you're ahead. You don't feel so much like you're trying to catch up or like, crap, this email has to go out tomorrow. I have to do this right now. Like, it's like, no, cool, I did that 3 months ago. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
it's been scheduled to go out. I don't even have to worry about that. That piece has been handled.
Kelly, this is so helpful. I'm so excited to start implementing all that you've said. So if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna hop off.
Oh, you're fine. No
I
worries.
can have some
Have
more
a great rest of your day.
sessions with Kelly here. She's wonderful. Kelly, thank you so much again. I'll see
You're
you on
welcome. I'll see you
Thursday.
later, Nikki.
Bye.
Rika, how can I help you, sis?
Hello. I thought it starts at 8, so I just came to listen in.
Oh, no, you're fine. The replay is going to be up soon. What we did is we did basically, and I can recap it with you pretty quickly. I'll pull up the slides again. But basically, we just talked about 5 things that people typically do when they're writing their own copy that kind of is a
Mhm.
mistake or basically not a great idea. And then she had some copy that she wanted to pull up, and she was talking
Oh,
about
cool.
all the things that she was thinking and why. And all I said was, I love the idea. The only thing is if the first day of spring is March, why are we waiting till the end of April to do that? Like I would actually move that thing up to March and then run it to like May 1st. And she was like, that was my original plan. And I was like, then do that. Like, so that's where we are, but I will share my screen again and I will go through this really quickly. I can't stay too long today because I do have another commitment here in just a little
No
while.
worries, Kelly. If you need to go, I would just
Oh,
catch the replay. It's just LinkedIn told me it's at 8, so I was like, okay.
no worries, and we will let Tanya know because it is, where are you based again?
Belgium.
Oh, wow. I'm in Oklahoma in the United States. So it is 1 o'clock my time when I don't have children, which is great. It's 'cause they are with grandma today. So the 5
Really,
mistakes,
really, it's okay. Yeah, thank
it's
you.
all, yeah, and like I said, let Tanya know for sure because we're still kind of working out kinks. For some reason, I have 2 separate copy clinic submission forms, and so I have to check both of them right now because I didn't have any that's what I was telling Nikki is like she said, "Well, I just submitted something." I was like, "Great," because you were just going to watch me create. Otherwise, like that was my plan was I was carved out this hour. That's what we were going to do. Um, but mistakes that people make when writing their own copy, they make it all about themselves. The CTA, when we'll talk about all this here in just a minute, there's some issues with the formatting. They tend to use jargon or buzzwords, and then they don't bother testing out their content. So basically what we talked about is it's not all about you. It's about your potential people. So what's in it for them? How are we writing for them? And I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna hit this pretty fast because you can catch the replay and we kind of went really deep into it. But um you kind of have to think, how am I writing that makes sense for them? Is it what words I'm using? How are they talking about what? How do they talk about what I talk about? You know, like I'm a copywriter, I talk copy all the time. But if you don't understand what a funnel is or you don't understand what copy is, a lot of times I've had people be like, copy what? I'm like, copy the words. The words are considered copy. And so we can't really think about I always think about too, like the about me section of a page. Most people are like, this is all the things I've done. You still have to be like, why does it matter for them? Why should they care that you are the person that can walk them through whatever it is that you do? Um, and then the call to action. Most of the time, what we see is there's the wrong call to action, multiple calls to action, or no calls to action. And with the wrong call to action, it's a lot of times you're missing a step. It's either they're ready for the next thing, and so they're not going to buy whatever your call to action is because they're ready for the course, or maybe you're asking for the course And they're like, we don't want the mini, we're not ready for the course yet. We need a mini course. We need a webinar. We need something like that. And then a lot of times, and I see this happen so many times, people will be like, oh, I put out a weekly newsletter and it's got like 6 different things. It'll be like, here, read my blog, and here, book a call with me, and here's the reasons why you should, hire me. And so hire me here. Well, a lot of times each of those sections will have a button. And if you give people that many options, they will choose none of them, because too many calls to actions, people tend to get really overwhelmed. And so I was always taught one email, one call to action, one sales page, one call to action. We're trying to do one at a time. And then the other thing I see is that people will put out really amazing content. They will put out awesome content, and then they won't tell people what they want them to do. And if they don't tell people what they want them to do, they will do nothing. Because we just don't. We just, like, we want to know what is our next step. And if you don't tell us, we're not going to do anything. Another thing that we see over and over again is, how are people looking at your content? Are you making it easy for them to view it? A lot of people create on their desktop, and without realizing that somewhere around 85% of people are going to be looking at their content on a mobile device. And so you want to make sure that it is mobile friendly and it's easy to consume, because if it is hard to consume, or it has a lot of ads, or it has a lot of steps, or you have to sign in and then verify and then, change your password and make sure it's got, the number and the letter and the special care. Like, when it gets too complicated, people are like, screw this, I'm out. And so they do. They're just like, no. So we have to make sure that this is easy for people to consume. And then the next thing is jargon and buzzwords. One of the things I highly recommend, and was very, very lucky to have a coach early on, when she would talk about things, even if they were words that she talked about all the time, she would take 10 seconds and she would identify them. So like, if we were talking about a funnel, she'd be like, okay, so in this context, this is what we mean by funnel. Or like today we're talking about, our sales pages. What is a sales page? In this context today, as we're talking about it, this is what that looks like, because that put everybody on the same foundation, the same level, and it made it really easy for people to be like, okay, that's what you mean when you say funnel, or that's what you mean when you say marketing. Got it. Okay. So you have to be really careful, because we talk about it all the time. We don't think about it. We're like, yeah, we talk about funnels. We talk about whatever. We're talking about business online, and we're entrepreneurs. It's like, cool. What is that? What's that mean? And so one of the things I talked about a little while ago is like, if you can a third grader understand this? When I started copywriting, I had somebody tell me, go do the mom test. And that was, write your stuff out, take it to your mom and say, do you understand what I'm trying to sell? Or do you understand what I'm writing? Now I do it, well, I call it like the freshman test, where I take it to my freshman in high school and I'm like, do you understand? And he loves marketing. So he'll be like, how does this fit into the campaign? Or what are you trying to do here? Like, mom, I don't understand. Or yes, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, I kind of get it. Or you're way off base. Like, it makes sense to you and only you. So that's what we do, is because you don't know, because you're around this all the time and you see it all the time. And when we put our content out, we feel like we're beating a horse to death because we've put it out hundreds and hundreds of times. But statistically, hundreds and hundreds of times, people aren't seeing that. They are seeing something like 1% to 2% of what we actually put out. And so we have to remember, the other thing I kind of talked about earlier, and that it's super important, is they used to say people had to see you and talk to you 7 times to build know, like, and trust. The last time I Googled it, it's something like 21 times now, because we just have so many marketing messages thrown at us all the time. And then the last thing that we talked about was, we have to test. You have to test your content. You have to test your sales page. You have to test your emails and talk to people. We're like, I used to be one of those people that was like, I did the thing, it's done, hands off the piece, never touching it again. No, we can't do that. We have to be very much, this is all about iterations. We are iterating all through the rest of life as entrepreneurs. And so we put out that email, we get feedback, we iterate, we put out something similar with a little bit of different, and we kind of just get told, like, what's the feedback? What do you love about this? What do you hate about this? What would you change? And what you find is you get into a groove. And when you start talking to people, they'll tell you, oh, well, this is what I love, or this is what I think. And when you take the time to listen and kind of take that feedback and then take an action on it, a lot of times you'll have people come back to you and say, how did you know? You're in my head. And it's like, yeah, because you told me what you wanted. So that is really the what we kind of talked about. And then we just went through some of her copy. So super fast, but do you have any questions?
Thank you, Kelly. No, it's awesome. I'm looking forward to the replay.
That's good. And like I said, if you have any questions or, if you have copy, I also offer free copy audits. So, I'm always willing to look at work and say like, here's what I see, here's what's working, here's what's not working, here's some things you might consider changing. But copy is my jam. I love words, have always loved words. And now I'm like, how do we help people step into their awesomeness with the right words to connect with them? So that's what
That matters so much. Like a good slogan, a good like a name which you can remember makes
Yeah,
all the
it does matter. It matters so much when people are like, what do you do? I've had people tell me, "Oh, I've talked to you before, but I remember you, but I don't remember anything else." And it matters when you're like, "What are you trying to do? What's your mission?" And I think to have a mission or a vision of what you want your business to look like is so important. Um, because like for me, my mission's changed over the years because my vision used to be like I'm home with my kids. And at this point, it's like, no, I want to grow a business so that I have my version of freedom. So I have time freedom and financial freedom. And so I can take the kids and be like, we're going to go do a thing and not be like, hope the credit card goes through. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm always around if you need anything. So
Thank you so much, Kelly. Yeah, I think we also connected on LinkedIn, so
yeah,
I think I know where to find you.
sounds good. You have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Have a lovely day. Take care.